Volvo Car Open will return to Daniel Island in 2021. Today, I talk with Tournament Director Bob Moran for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Bob Moran, welcome to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Quinn, I am so happy to be here. We've been trying to do this for a long time.
Hey, no worries. This is actually the ideal time because obviously you are the tournament director for the Volvo Car Open. And let me just begin with this, Bob. Who is Bob Moran these days?
Wow, it's a great question. Right now with everything that's going on, we have three different pieces of business we do. We have day-to-day operations of our tennis facility here. And tennis and golf are probably the most widely used sports ever at this moment in time because people can do them safely. We have our music business, which is usually in the summer, which we lost this whole year. And then the tournament itself, which obviously we weren't able to operate in 2020 and hoping to operate in 2021. A lot of my time right now is on international calls talking about the tennis calendar and what's coming. And I can tell you every day I have a different call.
Wow.
Yeah.
Besides the Volvo Car Open obviously coming in April, what else is coming to Charleston?
For us in April?
Yes, sir.
Well, actually, we're really focused on the tennis right now, and we're focused on our stadium renovation, which is a significant change for us, and we are undergoing all the work with the city to get it approved, and then starting demolition on the stadium, and then rebuilding everything. So that'll take up a lot of our time over this spring and summer, and be ready to roll out the Volvo Car Open in 2022, which happens to be our 50th anniversary, by the way, Quintin. So 50 years of the Volvo Car Open. That's what we're ready to be built and ready to go in April of 2022.
What is the biggest difference between 50 years ago and right now when you think of this tournament?
Well, number one, it's the media. I mean, we were the first tournament back in 1973 to have TV, and that the first women's event actually to have network television, and that was maybe 4 hours. And I can tell you last year, or in actually 2019, we were probably 60 plus hours of live coverage. And we had over 142 countries that are international global partners that broadcast the event. So we are truly global now, where, in 1973, we were very focused in the U.S.
Wow, that's so amazing. What is your focus right now when it comes to obviously reaching most of these masses from the media?
Our focus right now is really on the calendar, because I would love to say we can make all the decisions by ourselves of what's going to happen. But unfortunately, the Australian Open is the first Grand Slam of the year, and they just pushed back by 3 weeks.
Wow.
And which affects the rest of the calendar. And we just learned recently that Indian Wells, which happens 4 weeks in front of us, which is really the fifth largest event in the world, has decided not to operate in California, which again affects our calendar. And so my focus right now is really just working with our partners, working with our media partners to understand that we really won't be able to make a final decision until everyone else makes a final decision.
And I know that the players are training and they were supposed to be getting ready to go to Australia very soon. How long will the training take now that all of this pushback is happening?
Well, it's interesting. Everything's approved in Australia. And so what was finally approved is the players will start the first week in January, probably somewhere in the Middle East where they feel it's a safe place, and they'll have an event. They will all have to fly to Melbourne and go under a 2-week quarantine. And that 2-week quarantine will be in a bubble where the players can go out for 2 hours and practice. They can go out for 2 hours and work out and exercise, and then 1 hour of just basically recreation time. The rest of the time, they have to be back in their rooms for those 2 weeks. And once they get cleared for those 2 weeks, Quintin, they will be able to enter the Australian society with really no restrictions. And so, Australia's been very different than the rest of the world. They have 0 cases. They have 0 deaths.
Wow.
And the interesting point that was made on a call recently by their sports minister was someone asked, hey, the U.S. Open was able to protect the players and the French Open was able to protect the players. Why so many here to protect the players? He goes, we're not trying to protect the players. We're protecting our citizens, because these players are coming from across the world. We have created a safe space. We need it to be a safe space.
Exactly.
So it's more a very different outlook than we have.
What is that one tennis player that is must see and much watch right now?
Naomi Osaka. Naomi Osaka just won the U.S. Open. She is the darling of the tennis world right now.
Wow. That is so amazing. And you talk about events. Let me rewind time because obviously, let's talk about July. The Credit One Bank Invitational was held here on Daniel Island at the stadium without fans, obviously, just the players. You told Layla Gulin on Fox 24 that the event was made for television. What was that experience like in your mind?
It was really surreal. We were the first live event to be back in play. We were the first ones really to a week-long tennis event. No one was doing it. We felt we could do it in a safe way. And let me tell you that our MUSC partners really helped guide us down the path on how to create a safe atmosphere, both on site, in our hotels, and on our space here at the tennis center. The girls were really excited to get back to play. They were so engaged and so fun to be around. But when you get out there and playing and there's no fans in the stands, it's really quiet. It's a different experience. So we tried to liven it up with live music and have some fun with them. We let the girls be, the young ladies be DJs for the night. They had a blast, and it was great, made for TV. But boy, they missed the fans and we missed the fans. But we really wanted to strive to say, hey, we can come back, we can be safe, and let's bring something to the fans, at least through TV, to bring tennis back again.
And I know with that event, it allowed you all to really test out some protocols in place because of COVID. What protocols are you currently testing for the upcoming Volvo Car Open?
Well, it's really interesting, Quint, because, we were the first to come back and we built our protocols on MUSC's guidance and what we've learned. And then we took those learnings and shared them with other events and shared them with the tour. I can tell you our playbook for 2021 that the WTA Tour created is about 99 pages. And it's very, very stringent and very, very different. And I say that we're a global tour. We have players coming from 35 countries. They are coming via airplane. So we have to take extra precautions as opposed to someone coming in from the upstate or someone coming in from another state. We really have to put a lot of precautions into play. Functional groups, keeping players separate from everybody else, keeping officials separate from any volunteers or staff. We're really trying to focus making partnerships with our hotels, keeping one group in one hotel, another group in another hotel. How do we transport them? How do we test them? How do we go through all of those policies and procedures that we have in place? It is not easy. Very different than where we were back in June because we've learned a lot more. We've learned how to be better. We've learned how to be safer. And the players are bought into it. So it's a tough task.
And let me ask you this: what was the return time on testing for the July event?
I had everything with under 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, MUSC really did a great job for us. And hey, we tested 150 people. I basically set up a drive-through in our parking lot, had everyone run through over 2 days. And, MUSC did a great job. They, and like I said, within 24 hours, and I was able to get players out practicing relatively quickly.
Wow. And how will the Volvo Car Open, that is, be made for fans and TV in 2021?
Well, I think it's still an unknown. I think, as you're seeing, that every day is changing. We're getting different. I'm hoping that in April, everything is relatively back to normal. It's not going to be, but we're hoping.
Right.
I think we're going to really start putting our finger on exactly what we look like come January. We're building a temporary stadium behind our clubhouse. That'll be about 3,000 seats. And we'll be prepared for a full fan experience in that stadium. We'll be prepared for a socially distanced experience. And if, I hope it doesn't happen, but if we have to do it for, TV only, we'll be prepared for that as well.
Wow.
The only thing I can't control right now, Quintin, is the rest of the calendar. And Indian Wells going off the calendar is a blow to the U.S. So that's why I need to see what happens over the next couple of weeks to see what we can decide to do in January.
And I know COVID has impacted your timeline for the new Volvo Car Cup Open Stadium, that is. How's that timeline right now?
I think, we should be ready by, I would say, January, February of next year, fully built out, ready to go.
Wow.
So it's really about a year from now that we will have a new $40+ million facility that'll be what I consider the best on the East Coast.
Wow, that's amazing.
For tennis and live music. We're really excited about what it is.
Hey, at the top, you said that obviously you all couldn't obviously host the music events and obviously tennis.
How much money did you all actually lost this past year, that is?
Well, I can tell you from just losing the tennis, because we were about 45% built out when we pulled the plug on the event last year. And that was a, low 7-figure expense that we could not get back. And so it was a pretty major blow. And there's nothing we could do about it. We just really focused on what we can do moving forward. And that's the reason we really wanted to do something with that Credit One Bank Invitational in June to show that, hey, tennis can be played and tennis can be played safely.
And I know, obviously, you talked about the permitting and processing. How's that going right now with the city of Charleston as far as the new stadium?
It's good. We, we're in second stage on most of it. Second reading at city council. Things are going relatively smoothly.
And I know, obviously, Ben and Kelly Navarro donated money for the renovations of the current stadium. Where else would you get the money for the rest of the new stadium?
Well, it is largely being donated by Ben and Kelly Navarro.
Okay.
This is, their commitment to the city. This is their legacy. They care about the city deeply. And, this will always be a city facility. We have a long-term lease, so they will never own this facility. And so them putting $40+ million in to have this built is an amazing donation to the city of Charleston and its residents.
Absolutely. And I know that you talked about the long-term lease on the city-owned facility. When does that lease expire?
2061.
Oof.
That's long, isn't it?
Yes, sir. I think Jesus will be back by then. So what will the city contribute as far as renovations to this new stadium?
Well, when we started, before Ben bought this facility, the city had somewhere between $6 and $9 million of repairs that needed to be done. We needed new stairwells, like the River Dogs just had to have their stairwells done. They were built the same way. All of ours had to be done. That was significant. I think the cost was somewhere in the $6 million range to have those done. And then new handrails, all new safety issues. The stadium is 20 years old. So they basically had, I think, about $3 million in the budget that came from tax accommodation dollars from back in 2018, 2019. And that was already in the budget. So we basically just said, hey, we'll take that $2 million of that $3 million. Let's put it in a fund for 5 years down the road. So don't worry about that now. And they're going to put $1 million of that into the facility. And that's out of the $45 million. The city's going to contribute that $1 million. That is non-taxpayer money. That's in the general fund.
Right.
It was in the fund for the last couple of years. So no effect on the city residents.
And I know reportedly the $3 billion that was discussed at the recent city council meeting will allow the stadium to bring in more shows and events, which will ultimately help the tax base by bringing more people into the city. What is that current tax base right now? Last time we did a test on the economic impact of just the tennis, forget concerts and everything else. We've only done tests on the tennis itself. It's well over $35 million. I want to put it in perspective for you, Quintin. The tennis event, on our budget that we pay for, we do about 2,500 hotel room nights just that week. That's not the fans. That's not people coming in from across the globe. That's what we pay for players, officials, all of our contractors, television, all of that comes in. So our impact is significant just for, via the tennis. And we'll start testing what the concerts look like. I mean, we had Dave Matthews in 2019. We had Kenny Chesney in 2019. And that's not just people coming from locally. That's people coming from across the Southeast to see these acts. And by what we're doing, we're going to increase our numbers in our stadium from around 7,500 to 10,000 for concerts, which allows us to do those first-class shows that will bring more people into the town. And what exactly, as far as shows, who do you want next at the stadium?
Well, I mean, this is not just going to be music. We're looking at theater. We're looking at opera. We're looking at a lot of live events. We want to bring as much culture and music to the city and its residents as we possibly can. So that's the facility we're building is going to take all that into consideration. So we can do great tennis. We can do world-class music, but we really want to test the waters on theater and opera and you name it. I mean, we really want to open the doors to more opportunities because we know the residents want that.
Absolutely. And you talk about obviously the temporary stadium that's going to be behind the clubhouse. What was the price tag for that?
Oh, we're still negotiating that.
Oh,
No, we have a good plan. Depending on what we finally build out, which I think January 1st, that cost will be somewhere around $400,000 to build that temporary facility.
oh, okay. And I know, obviously, you talked about the 3,000 people that will be in that particular stadium. What else will be in that temporary stadium?
Great question. So what we're doing is basically taking out currently all the bathrooms that are on the inside of the circle. We're going to put permanent, fully conditioned suites all around the inside of the lower tier. We're going to have 135% more bathrooms that we're shifting all the way to the outside. So for our fans, there's no more porta johns. We'll have enough to handle everybody. That's one little piece. We're filling in the third tier of the stadium. That's where we're picking up a lot more seats. And then we're building what's called a stage house, which will be 70,000 square foot building that'll have a canopy that during tennis will act as a really nice shade opportunity for our fans. But for concerts, it'll act as our roof for concerts. And then within that stage house on the first floor is all basically player and talent services. So a new gym, new locker rooms, new treatment areas and medical facilities. The second tier will be a new commissary, and then all new media. So when you come and report on the Volvo Car Open, Quintin, I'll have a nice space for you inside where you can see the action. Yeah. And then the third tier is going to be a great VIP overlook of Stadium Court that we're really excited about.
Oh, that's so amazing. I wish you all could bring that bathroom plan to the Cooper River Bridge Run.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, at the Cooper River, I see you training all the time, Quinn. So I know, you're not only reporting on it, you're an active participant.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Love the bridge run. I love, obviously, the Volvo Car Open as well. I know, obviously, you said that we are going to build on what we can from a food and beverage on-site experience, and that's what you told later in the last interview. What else are you building on when it comes to food and on-site experience?
Well, number one, we've always brought in outside in when it comes to a food and beverage experience. By building a commissary, we can do most of our food and beverage experience internally. So as part of the renovation too, we're building new concession areas, new fan experience areas. So, we'll have new suites, new concession areas, new F&B areas. It will be a state-of-the-art facility that we can now operate internally as opposed to externally.
That's amazing. And let me turn back to November 13th. Obviously, that was the day when the tickets, that is, went on sale. How many tickets have been sold for November 13th to right now?
I'm really happy. We're about, I would say, a little over a third to capacity. So we're kind of leaving it, and you're not seeing a lot of push from us because we're really happy. Our number one priority was to take care of our long-term box holders and ticket holders, make sure they had what they wanted. And then from that point on, we're just opening it up. And I think most people are going to wait a little bit, as we are, to see, really what happens over the next, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks. And then once we get to January, we'll have a really good idea of what we're able to do, how we're going to do it. But we're really excited that our fan base have been really supportive of this. And they jumped very quickly when we put those renewals back online.
And when you get to January, February, will you actually have to put a cap on those ticket sales?
We could. That's when we'll work through commerce to see, exactly what our capabilities are and what we're allowed to do.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, Bob Moran, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Quinn, this was an absolute pleasure, and I really appreciate it. Look forward to doing it sooner rather than later.
Yes, sir. I'll be around. I'll come out to Daniel Island, too.
I love it.
Yes, sir.